Good morning, everyone. It's late morning. I've been moving around slow today, and the babies have not. They might look like they're slow moving right now, but they haven't been too slow, have you, Benny or Simon? Little Simon. Hello, baby. Aw, aren't you a gorgeous boy? He loves laying in Dad's lap. He loves laying in my lap. He loves a soft spot. I got tickled last night because, we had the Fiasco on Sunday where they chewed up beds while we were gone and they were in their crates. So we took beds away and gave them crate mats. And today is Wednesday. So gradually, since Sunday, they've been getting the beds back, mainly because one at a time they will refuse to go to sleep. So I'll get a bed and put in there and they get right in it and they go to sleep. So last night was Benny. He just had his crate mats and he was just sitting up and restless and huffing and puffing, and I tried to let him out. And he didn't want to go outside, so I sat and held him for a little while. He liked that and just settled in like he was just going to go to sleep on my lap. And it dawned on me, okay, you need a bed. That's why you're not going to sleep. So I got up and went and got him another bed and put it in there, and he curled right up and went to sleep. But then this morning, Dad has been fighting with them, because they were trying to chew on the beds first off. So we pulled the beds out and put them on top. Figured we'd keep them out of reach during the day, and at night we'll put them in there. But then I know Candy and Chloe were sitting over here chewing on their crate mats. So Dad came over, he caught them, said, no, you don't get the crate mat now. So he put that up on top. And then gradually I've been adding them back as they've calmed down. So we're having a battle over the chewing. And I'm just grateful that we're here 99% of the time and can see when they start this kind of behavior, and we can correct it right then. So I think that's the key to hopefully just changing that behavior. I don't want them to get used to chewing up beds. I have had dogs in the past that every time they got a bed, they immediately started trying to shred it. I've never had one chew up a crate mat, but Chloe and Candy both attempted. I think it was just more, they had to be in their crates because Granddad was in the kitchen and we didn't want them under his feet. And they didn't like it, so they just kind of started chewing on the crate pad. They didn't chew it up or anything, but my husband caught them right when they first started it and corrected them. But they have tons of toys to chew on, but all dogs, when they get any signs of anxiety, they'll start chewing or digging, and we don't want that. I don't want them to feel anxiety to begin with, but they do have to go in their crates at times just to make it safer for my dad to move around and do things he wants to do. And they have to go in a crate when we leave and aren't here, because I don't dare leave them out unattended. Even, I don't care how good they are, when you have more than one, you can expect they'll get into something if there's two or more. One, I have for years, when I was just a pet owner, I would have one and rarely ever crated. They slept with us and went everywhere with us, and they would lay and sleep on the couch or something while we were gone. But now it's a different story around here, and they're always wanting to play and get into stuff and do stuff they think is fun. Benny, look at you. You just laid out like a big dog. We had an early visitor this morning, came by to see my dad, a friend of his, And she just fell in love with Benny. She thought he was the prettiest dog she's ever seen. And wanted to know if I was going to keep him. I said, yeah, I'm keeping him because I actually had to get him from an outside breeder. And I paid quite a bit for that boy. So yeah, he's here to stay. And he is a pretty boy. He's such a pretty boy. And he loves his little Reba. But when they grow up, Reba is not his. So Reba and Simon are going to be a pair. And then Benny can be with any of the other females. But this will be the first time I've had dogs that I will have to separate during breeding season. Benny and Reba cannot breed. Benny is actually, in his pedigree, it turns out he is related to the bloodline that my Jericho came from, who is the father of Reba. Jericho's been retired and lives in Canada now. But that's why it's really good, y'all, to register your dogs and get those pedigrees. If you're going to be breeding, you need to know the bloodline back behind the individual puppy, because it turns out that bloodline relates back to a stud I had previous, but I got from a different breeder, but than where Benny came from. But the two of those breeders, somewhere in the background, the bloodline, they did business with someone who had dogs related to some of the bloodlines I have had. So it's important to it's important to do all of this. If you're going to breed, you should be doing DNA testing for the genetic defects. And honestly, I'm a big believer in doing the color panels. Now, if you just got one pair of dogs and you don't really care what color you're breeding, you just want a litter of puppies, you may not need the color panel. But because I have so many different colored Bostons, and people really do like the colored Bostons, I sell more colored Bostons than I do black and whites. And I just actually started building a black and white line. That's why I have Candy and Reba and Simon, because I do have requests for black and whites, but it's one litter a year maybe on the black and whites, and then the blue and whites, the fawns, the brindles, those are a lot more popular. Look at you, you pretty boy. You're just a good looking fella. So it's important to register your dogs. Even if you're not going to breed, it is good to have them in the registry. And then, of course, if you are going to breed, get those pedigrees so you can be aware of any bloodlines that might be crossing. You don't want to cross on your bloodlines. I don't. I know there are some people who claim they have some knowledge of how to do it safely, but to me the safest way is don't risk it. I don't do that at all. I don't care how many generations there are between. We breed for pet puppies anyway, and there's just no sense in risking a litter of puppies that could be related and all. That's just not good practice in my opinion. So, but anyway, I got a feeling Sheba may be getting closer to coming into heat. The boys are starting to just show a little interest in her, and yeah, they're young, but their little noses know. So I'm watching for that. So if everything goes according to the way it should, I'm hoping Sheba and Chloe will be in heat pretty soon. So, and then I'm hoping Delilah is usually just once a year, or so far that's the way it's been. It could change if the other girls come into heat. It may throw her into heat, but she's not really expected to come into heat until around March. And by then, Candy will be ready to come back into heat. So we would have Sheba and Chloe, hopefully sometime this month. And then between February and March, maybe Delilah and Candy would be ready for breeding. And Reba, she won't be ready for breeding until after August. So she may come into heat at the very end of the year. I'm not sure. We'll wait and see. So she's just going on 6 months old now. So she hadn't had her first heat yet. But we're just gonna hang out. Dad and I take turns taking them outside. They can go out. They love to get out there in the sun, and they run and burn off some energy pretty fast, but then they're ready to come back in because it is really cold out there. I don't know what's the temperature now, honey. I haven't paid attention this morning.
32.
Oh, it's 32. Well, that's better than yesterday. Yesterday it was single digits, and they go out for a few minutes and run as much as they could and come right back. They all got really good warm baths yesterday, which that's something we don't bathe very often. I bathe as needed, which there are times when, especially when we have to deal with the mud, they'll come in and yeah, you're getting a bath. But it's better for the dogs to not get a bath very often. It's better for their skin and just their overall health. But they all got one yesterday, and they hadn't had one since before we had our last litter. So they were born in November. So sometime before November, they all had baths. Candy got a bath in November, just before she gave birth to her litter. But then they all came and got in my chair, and I was talking with somebody last night because I was talking about how I cleaned their ears, especially the boys. Something about puppies at that age, their ears just collect a lot of oily dirt. So they were wondering, how do I clean their ears? And I keep Q-tips right over by my chair. I have a little glass tool jar there. It's got my crochet, but I keep Q-tips in it. And they'll come and get in my lap, and I usually take one of the coconut wipes and wipe the inside of the ear out real good. Just wrap that wet wipe tight around my finger, and I can get everything except the smaller parts of their ear. And they just get all relaxed in my lap, and I just fold one ear open, a little like, just kind of lay that open. And while he's sitting there being loved on, I can clean his ear, and he doesn't give me any trouble. But they had pretty dirty ears, but the rest of them, they stay pretty clean. But it still pays to wipe them out and be checking that all the time, because that's just something that's easy to neglect, not thinking about it until they're doing a lot of scratching or shaking their head because their ears are dirty. But I do them every few months. I double check and make sure. Now when they're younger, I check them all the time. But the older ones, it's usually when they get a bath and stuff. So it's every few months I'm checking and cleaning the ears.
The little boy's got to go out.
You got to go out, baby.
Yeah.
Benny Boo Boo, you gonna go out too? You better go, huh? He's right on your heels. Yep, he wants to go.
Hey, Boo Boo, let's go. Come on, Boo. Come on. Come on.
Oh, he's thinking about it. Okay, talked him into it. Anyway, y'all have a blessed Wednesday and stay warm. We're just gonna hang out in here and do what we normally do. Just keep up with our dogs. What are you gonna get into, Candy? What are you gonna get into? I think I'll just lay right here.